So my name is Cheryl Chui, and I'm currently assistant professor at the University of Hong Kong, Department of Social Work and Social Administration. So in Hong Kong, the long-term care system has based on two principles. So it's continuum of care and also aging in place. My area of research, knowing these two principles are difficult to achieve, especially with the dwindling of the professional workforce and also limited professional capacity. So my area of research is looking at more socially innovative care intervention systems in a way that could facilitate productive aging as well as engendering a more holistic aging workforce, if you will. On the one hand, we know that there's a huge demand for more care to be looked at in the community, but there's simply no supply, professional supply of those types of resources that is required to meet those demands. So part of what I look at is how to innovatively perhaps recalibrate how we think about providing care as a whole. So one, I can give you an example, which is using an asset-based community development model to train up existing resources that are already in the community, housewives or other inherent resources, housewives, retired personnel, paraprofessionals, and so forth, and to and engender their participation in a way that could provide immediate or take up roles that used to be carried out by professionals, so that the entire community can play a role in facilitating aging care, aging in place, and also providing immediate, knowledge based or looking out for neighbors and so forth. Yeah, so I think it's a combination of both. The dwindling of the workforce of a structural problem. So population aging in itself is part of causing the dwindling of professional resources, but it's also a recent trend where there is considerable out migration of younger professional generation. So the combination of both structural demographic changes and out migration as some of the social issues we have faced in recent years that are probably the culprits of a dwindling professional resource. Yeah. Yeah, so I do think that the government has put a lot of effort in, say, attracting new talents into the city as a way to perhaps compensate for or a strategy, population strategy to replenish the workforce. And the second thing, it does put quite a lot of resources for research to take place. And aging is definitely a huge area where it attracts and also retains a lot of that research resources. I think the needle is moving in the right direction. I'm just not sure if it's fast enough. In terms of international wise, I do think that there's a lot more room for cross institutional or also cross national knowledge exchange and also sharing of resources. There's a lot of practice wisdom in terms of policy, both I think from overseas to Hong Kong, but also Hong Kong to overseas. So there's a bit of a gap at the moment, I would say. The second is in terms of policy and gendering public-private partnerships. So there's a lot of things going on in the private sector that perhaps is not yet fully captured by or leveraged on by public policy, which I think that there's a huge market for. So when we talk about the silver market, and also there's a lot of innovation that takes place within the private sector that have not been translated into the public policy domain just yet. So that's the second approach. And the third, I would say, the role of public policy is to fund research. Obviously, there's a lot of frontline workers' experience, practice wisdom, for example, carried out by nonprofit organizations, social enterprises, or just community development work that have not yet been picked up and turned into a policy initiative that can, in turn, fund more of this kind of trial and success cases that can be turned into perhaps a policy measure. So I would say these three things that could perhaps play a big role in improving the overall long-term care system in the region.